Hi guys, this is my Rover 75. I pretty much exclusively have ever owned cheap cars. I was a mechanic when I left school. I did a 4-year apprenticeship, then decided I don't actually like working on other people's cars. But I've kind of got a good base, a good knowledge of working on cars, and the way I see it, if you can fix your own cars, why pay for an expensive car? Because you have an old car like this, keep it going. This car costs £360 and it runs pretty well, it runs pretty strong. It does good MPG, it cruises happily, 80-90 miles an hour. It's just a nice car. I'd much rather drive something big and old like this than a small, tinny, Vauxhall Corsa, Ford Fiesta. I like bigger cars, so I enjoy driving this. I wanted to show you what I keep in the boot. So I've been working on my own cars for like 15, 16 years now, probably longer than that. And I think I've got quite a streamlined setup of all the tools, of all the bits and pieces I keep in the car. I've always managed to get myself out of pretty much most situations, any mechanical failures, anything I need to do with the cars. So let's take a look at what I keep in the boot. So starting off with everything I keep in the boot, we'll start with it quite simple. So obviously a petrol can, pretty invaluable. I mean, I've rarely ever run out of fuel, but it's just one of those things. I mean, you can carry fuel in it. If you've got a car that's leaking water, of course, you can put water in it to top yourself up. So it doesn't really weigh anything, and it is very useful. Just a basic tyre pump. Again, flat tyres, slow punctures are a common fault. It's going to be one of the biggest reasons why you would potentially break down. So a foot pump goes without saying. A jack, obviously the cars do come with their own emergency jack, but for doing any kind of substantial task, you really want a trolley jack. I mean, ideally an axle stand in the worst case scenario. If you're taking a wheel off, slide the wheel under the car, so if it does fall off the jack, which has happened to me in the past actually, you've got something there to stop it completely crushing you, and obviously jack handle as well. Inside here is just some various items I take around. Scrapped a Mercedes a while ago and just took out the first aid kit that was in there. Just your basic stuff, various plasters, a few bandages, space blanket in an emergency, obviously to keep you warm. And that was a good find in the boot of a Mercedes I was scrapping. Bungee straps, you say, buying things, going to DIY stores, sometimes you might want to strap something, it'll have the boot slightly open, so you've got bungee straps to keep it closed. High vis, again, goes without saying, just some basic safety at the side of the road. Made up a rope here. I mean, a few times I've had to tow one car with another car. On my driveway is particularly difficult to get in and out, so if one car breaks down I can't get the other cars out, so sometimes I'll have to pull one car off the driveway with another car. This is just climbing rope, but it's plenty strong enough, probably about 5 meters long. You can obviously shorten it if you need to. I've got quite a few various ratchet straps again. I mean, I don't have roof bars on this car, but if I went to a DIY shop, I wanted to strap any wood or various things to the car. We also have a trailer. I mean, this 75 hasn't got a tow bar fitted, but our other car has, but that's my girlfriend's car, so I tend to just keep all the towing stuff like straps in this car, as it just makes it easier when it comes time to find stuff. I've never had to actually use this stuff in anger. This is emergency puncture repair, so it's like a foamy liquid, I guess, that you pump into a tire if it's flat. I've never had to use it, but I think it's, again, I think I found this in a car I was scrapping. It's, it's just one of those things. It's a bit of a Hail Mary if you get a puncture, or maybe another car, like someone's got a puncture on a car and they, a modern car maybe doesn't have a spare wheel or something like that. It's a bit of a Hail Mary. How well it works, I don't know. Actually, I think a long time ago I did try and use this in a motorbike with an inner tube, so again, that was a real low probability of working. It didn't work in that event, but I keep this nonetheless. And just a pair of jump leads. These probably get used once or twice a year. They're pretty old, they're pretty crappy, but they do the job, and I have managed to jump a few cars over the time. And this is just one of these. You might have seen my other reviews on the IKEA wood burning stoves. This is a brand new one. These only cost £2 from IKEA. I keep this in there if I ever going like mountain biking, or a social event, something like that, out in a park, or the wilderness. You've just got something you can put a few twigs in, have a little fire in the middle of a, I mean, for £2, why not keep it in the boot, right? So then moving on to tools, obviously I say I was mechanic for like 4 years doing an apprenticeship, and I've always worked on my own cars. So my tool, I did weigh this up for a long time. Do I keep good quality tools in the car? I mean, obviously getting them stolen is a bit of a risk. So this is the 1/2-inch drive set. I did conclude that it's just easier for me to have tools in the car. I'd rather have a tool and risk it potentially being stolen rather than breaking down somewhere and then just wishing I had that tool with me. I don't think this is a particularly high risk car being broken into, and these aren't my best tools. I do have like some snap-on tools and things like that at home. I don't keep those ones in the car, so this is just kind of cheaper tools which do work, but if they got stolen I would be upset, but I wouldn't be hugely upset. So just a 1/2-inch drive set, obviously doing for bigger jobs. You can take wheel nuts off cars, and the 1/2-inch drive is questionable. You probably don't really need that in the boot of your car, because that's generally for doing bigger jobs. Just a set of spanners, not particularly expensive ones, US Pro Tools, all metric. Do have Imperial stuff. I used to work a lot on classic cars, but Imperial's not really needed in these type of cars, or pretty much any car you're likely to run into. This is all my 3/8 sockets. I've got a ratcheting screwdriver which goes along with the various ratcheting screwdriver heads. Besides 3/8 sockets, there's like various extensions in here, ratchets, and just basic stuff, mole grips and snips. There's some quarter drive stuff in there as well. This is the toolbox that gets used the most. For pretty much any job I'll ever do on the car, I'll always grab this one. I grab this box, and the spanners are the two things that I would grab if I'm just going out to the car, just as bare essentials. These pretty much get used on every time you work on a car, or at least I use them. Just my basic spanners and this basic tool set. I also have this last tool set which probably gets used more infrequently. These are things like Torx heads and Allen and hex heads and stuff like that. Stuff that's used more infrequently, but you know, more and more on, you know, modern cars, you need things like these Torx heads and stuff like that. So I just keep all those in that set, and that's pretty much the boot. So that's like emergency stuff, emergency repairs, tools, ratchet straps, puncture repairs, stuff like that. That's all operated out of the boot. This is what I keep inside the car. Sunglasses. I'm pretty sure pretty much every car has a set of sunglasses in there. One of these small umbrellas. Is the UK, so rain is of course a high chance of happening. Cable ties, just a bag of cable ties, pretty invaluable. There's many a repair that I've made in the past. This set of cable ties, just some paracord. This is particularly cheap paracord, it's not that nice at all, but it's okay just for basic temporary jobs. A little Gerber multi-tool, but again, multi-tool, pretty invaluable. I'll throw this in my pocket if I'm going out and about, like down the field, or just general stuff where I feel I may need a multi-tool in my pocket. Mechanics gloves, again, just for, I try not to do like oily stuff on these, but in an emergency they are handy just to put on your hands if you don't want your hands to get particularly mucky if you're changing a tire, or even if I'm doing manual stuff down the field, etc. Woolly gloves, goes without saying. UK again, it's generally pretty cold. Here's another little first aid kit. There's one in the boot, but this one's just a smaller one with plasters and a few steri wipes, stuff like that. Dog treats may only be applicable if you have a dog. Lighter, just generally always useful to have a lighter. Secateurs, that's just sometimes we have to cut stuff back down the field where the pony's kept. And just an emergency fire extinguisher. So that's pretty much what stays in the glove box. Actually looks like I've got another multi-tool in there, and randomly, probably never, hopefully would have to use this, but a tourniquet. I've been told various things about applying a tourniquet. It'd be more like in a road traffic accident. I've heard some people say don't apply tourniquets I don't know, like you hear different things. I would probably, this just happens to be in the car. Whether I'd use it in a civilian situation, I don't know. I've heard various things. I've heard some people say don't apply tourniquets to civilians because you may be sued. I don't know. So in this little bit here, this is another action camera. Obviously I do the YouTube videos. This is an old one I don't really use, but I just keep it in the car as it's handy to have. a few charging leads for the phone and the action camera, a bit of money, lip cream. It's always nice in the summer, the lips get a bit chapped. So that's everything. That's pretty much everything that I keep in the car.